Come up here for a second. Alright, what do we read? Roy Moore runs for Santa. You sure you want to read this? Alright. Once upon a time in 1947, Amanda Kruger was accidentally locked in an asylum. She was raped hundreds of times. Due to this, she gave birth to twins, Roy and Fred Kruger. Roy joined the military at West Point. In 1974, he joined the University of Alabama School of Law, where people criticized his lack of critical thinking ability. Then he ran for Circuit County Judge in 1982. He claimed that cases were being delayed for payoffs, but that was never substantiated. Later, he ran in 86 and lost again. So, what did he do? He switched his party to the GOP. During his time as a lawyer, he got his brother off on a technicality when an officer failed to sign a search warrant. In order to avoid further association with his child-murdering brother, he changed his name to Moore. Now going as Roy Moore, he met his wife when she was just a teenager. Eventually, he ran into her again and got married to her. She was 24 and a divorced mother, and he was 38. As a judge, he put up the 10 Commandments, claiming their importance, but not realizing that they were a random 10 Commandments and not even the first ones that Moses was given. Plus, there's all that church and state stuff and all that jazz. But that didn't bother old Roy. However, unfortunately for him, for reasons unknown, he was no longer allowed in malls. So in 2017, he hatched a plan. He decided to run against Doug Jones for the position of Santa. Unfortunately, he was allegedly committing sexual misconduct against 9 different reindeer. 9? But there was a whole bunch that didn't get sexually assaulted, so I guess they don't count. Lucky for him, a whole bunch of elves were willing to commit logical fallacies.
What's a logical fallacy, Dad?
A logical fallacy? Well, I'm glad you asked.
By the way, congratulations on your unborn child. That's the reason why I came down as a volunteer to speak for Judge Roy Moore, because he'll stand for the rights of babies like yours in the womb, where his opponent will support killing them up until the moment of birth.
Let me ask you about the legislation. For example, the Republican tax bill that just made it through the Senate. Would
Sure.
If he were to have been a sitting senator at the time, would Roy Moore have voted for that?
Yes,
He would
that's
have
my
supported
understanding.
it. Okay, so let's move on.
He's for tax cuts. He's for secure borders. He's for our Second Amendment. But interestingly, his opponent, when was asked, he can't even deny that he wants to take our guns and religious freedom away.
So, about your candidate. So let's go through some of the allegations against him. First, Lee Korfman, whom we have heard from in her own words, saying at 14 years old, she was a victim of child molestation by Roy Moore. Here she is in her words.
He basically laid out some blankets on the floor of his living room and proceeded to seduce me, I guess you would say. And during the course of that, he removed my clothing. He left the room and came back in wearing his white underwear. And he touched me over my clothing, what was left of it. And he tried to get me to touch him as well.
Do you believe her?
I don't believe her at all, and I'll tell you why. Not only was she sought after by the Washington Post, her own mother doesn't believe elements of her story. The element of the phone call that took place in the bedroom. Mother says there was no phone in her bedroom.
Even the snow miser himself claimed that Doug Jones wasn't punishing bad boys and girls enough like Roy Moore would, even though he prosecuted 2 KKK members for bombing a church, and he also called for reductions in corporation taxes, despite being accused of having a liberal agenda.
Dad, you sound like a libtard.
Well, Garrett, that's a word that's just used to discredit people.
Dad, everything worked out okay.
In the end, it turned out that everybody's hatred towards Democrats won out, and needing to have their side win rather than the other side, they took the reindeer rapist himself, Roy Moore, as Santa, and finally, he could roam the malls of America again. The end.